us safely navigate any environment. Tokens teach robots to move like the masters. Inspire new ways to celebrate our victories.
A martini, please.
Oh, right now.
Thank you, Adam.
And give us peace of mind when we need it most.
Hi, Morgan. Hi, Anna. It's good to see you again.
Hey, Emma. We're going to take a blood sample today, okay?
Don't worry. I'm gonna be here the whole time.
They bring meaning to numbers, to help us better understand the world around us. Predict the dangers that surround us. And find cures for the threats within us. Tokens can bring our visions to life. And restore what we've lost.
Zachary, I got my voice back, buddy.
They help us move forward. One small step at a time. And one giant leap. Together. And here is where it all begins.
Thank you. I think yep, there we go. Good afternoon all. I'm Jigar. Firstly, many thanks to Your Story, and this is, I think, my third version of devspark that I'm presenting here, and every time the energy level is the next level, right? So many congrats to each one of you on being here, absolutely punctual and listening to this. I would like to thank Your Story as well in giving this opportunity to present here. I know it's a post-lunch session. What I'm going to do it is tried my best to do two things to simplify things. One, I've cut short the whole presentation, and it's just 15 to 20 minutes, not more than that. So I'll give back the time. We'll do Q&A if needed, and I'm all available post the presentation as well. And second, out of the 8 slides that I have, 4 of them are videos. So hopefully, one has been played already, right? So hopefully that will give you more, joy of still staying awake and learn more essentially, right? What am I going to do in next 15-20 minutes is talk about these tokens that each one of us are buying today or producing it by ourselves and then consuming it or selling it, right? And how are we building this journey if today we need to do it all in-house, right? We have all seen the era because I'm sure most of you would have started to consume API-based tokens already in your environment. How many of you are not? Not. Okay, good. The audience is awake. I reversed the question and only handful 3 or 4 hands were up, which means each one of you are using the tokens via API mechanism already. Either doing POC or putting them into production or trying to calculate your ROIs and so on and so forth, right? But guess what? Each one of you will have come to some conclusion that now the time has come when you have to make choice of model, choice of the ROI that you need to do around how this million tokens per second that you are trying to consume it or per day that you are trying to consume it, and then what is the best way to deploy this in your environment? I think these three things are driving enterprises now absolutely, in a rat race way. The reason behind that is it has not just become a necessity, but it has also become a need of ours to deploy, not just to cut costs, but also to be a more time to market, and stay ahead of the competition as well. And third, to improve the productivity as well. Do you all agree? Okay, sounds good. So with that, let me begin and tell you what NVIDIA is trying to do. Okay? Okay, I'll still be a little manual, that's okay. So let's first understand what Jensen keep teaching us, which is the three, scaling laws. We have all heard about the Moore's law. Jensen has been talking about this for the longest ever time. It's been dead now. But the new scale laws are different in the token era that we are living in, right? The pre-training era, the post-training scaling, and the test time scaling, which is the inferencing that we are talking about it, right? And each of these are demanding its own complexity levels that we have it, and its own infrastructure needs that it needs to cater to it, right? So when organizations are today deciding which model to choose and then to pre-train based on that, either it is open source or closed source, whichever way you have your arrangements. And then once the model has started to get deployed in the environment, you are wanting to do a little more fine-tuning and stuff. And then lastly, when you try and deploy that in the inferencing as well, what infrastructure that you needed. But ahead that, let me tell you that the complexity level is increasing, and showing you a nice example as well, right? So two things. If you would have had a simple, the olden days models that we have seen at ChatGPT equivalents, the questions were also simple and the answers were also simple, right? And in just last about 7, 8, 10 months since the reasoning models have come in, the whole paradigm shift of how we can serve our customers or consume it internally as well has changed it. I've put two good examples. I'm sure one is very simple, what is NVIDIA and what it does. So it gives me a nice description. But the moment I put the question, which is to say that, hey, I need to figure out to have family dinner where I'm also bringing in my in-laws and my parents, and also bringing in my sister and brother. How do I have the table arrangements done? And then I'm putting my conditions as well, right? So my wife doesn't want to sit with my mother. Sister has to sit next to brother because she has to feed in. And my parents should not sit next to the in-laws, and so on and so forth, right? Jokes apart, but yes, reasoning models today, so if you have a normal model, you would straight away give me answer, you need 2 tables, right? But the reasoning model tells me, no, there is a way you can arrange this. And of course, it has its own maths, which it figured it out in a minute and tells me what the answer is. But what does it mean? It means now I'm talking about generating more tokens, and the numbers are written over there, right? Okay, right? And thanks to that, my need of scaling laws are also changing when I deploy them, because reasoning models are generating more number of tokens. The numbers are written over there, right? And thereby, we are trying our best to cope up with these requirements slightly in advance, right? And that's the reason the whole portfolio of hardware comes into the play. Just one slide, and then I'll talk about the software, the rest, right? Starting with our chips, which is what people usually know us, but we are no more a chip company, we are a full-fledged platform company. And within chips, we have realized that it's just not CPUs and GPUs, it's the networking, it's the interconnects between the node communication, within the node communication, and so on and so forth. Each of these things are important. So when an enterprise is trying to deploy their own agentic models in their own environment, what they need is a platform and not a chip. Okay? And that's the reason these systems are built. Okay? Sorry, this is not working, but this is how the system looks like. Right? This is how the system looks like. 72 GPUs in a one rack, all connected internally, access one GPU, when an operating system is being loaded. Right? And now you can load the largest of the largest reasoning model, throw millions of users query data on that single system, and get going with the search. Right? And to make these hardware work, what we have next is the software stack, which we have built over the last 2 decades, right? Which starts from your understanding the hardware layer, integrating it with the storage layer, and that's where your enterprise data is residing it across. Connecting it all the way for managing that cluster, workload manager, orchestration layer, and then comes your libraries that you need to build from data curation to guardrails, and then security layers that you need to implement over and above that. All that layer is what NVIDIA has built it and made it open to you guys to use it by yourself in your enterprise environment. So someday, when you decide to have choice of model zoo that you want to give it to your end users, and you want to deploy things by yourself, is when this stack is going to be useful to you. Okay? Makes sense? Let's understand this a little bit in detail with a small video.
Agents are the new digital workforce, working for and with us. AI agents are a system of models that reason about a mission, break it down into tasks, and retrieve data or use tools to generate a quality response. NVIDIA's agentic AI building blocks, NIM pre-trained models, and NeMo framework let organizations easily develop AI agents and deploy them anywhere. We will onboard and train our agentic workforces on our company's methods, like we do for employees. AI agents are domain-specific task experts. Let me show you 4 examples. For the billions of knowledge workers and students, AI research assistant agents ingest complex documents like lectures, journals, financial results, and generate interactive podcasts for easy learning.
By combining a UNet regression model with a diffusion model, Cordiv can downscale global weather forecasts down from 25 kilometers to 2 kilometers.
Developers, like at NVIDIA, manage software security AI agents that continuously scan software for vulnerabilities, alerting developers to what action is needed. Virtual Lab AI agents help researchers design and screen billions of compounds to find promising drug candidates faster than ever. And video analytics AI agents built on an NVIDIA Metropolis blueprint, including NVIDIA Cosmos Nematron vision language models, Llama Nematron LLMs, and NeMo Retriever. Metropolis agents analyze content from the billions of cameras, generating 100,000 petabytes of video per day. They enable interactive search, summarization, and automated reporting, and help monitor traffic flows, flagging congestion or danger. In industrial facilities, they monitor processes and generate recommendations or improvement. Metropolis agents centralize data from hundreds of cameras and can reroute workers or robots when incidents occur. The age of agentic AI is here, for every organization.
Sorry. And with that, I have last 2 slides. When we talk about the reasoning models, we have also open sourced our reasoning models that NVIDIA has it, with its data sets and the recipe how you can build it by yourself as well. So if somebody is interested, could go and download to this. And all the example that was being shown on the video, you could go to something known as build.nvidia.com or ngc.nvidia.com. You could download all these blueprints, it's all open source, and try it out with what you are looking for as an example, and I'm sure the results will be very encouraging to you. Are we ending there? Possibly the answer is no. This is still a digital world. We believe that the physical world is going to be much more larger and bigger and much bolder. The reason behind that is we are short of skills. We keep hearing that on the stage. I think prior to me, before the lunch, the last discussion topic was on the skills only, and skill is a huge gap in every industry that we think of it, right? And thereby,
the physical world is going to be the biggest disruption ever with this agentic AI. Let's listen to it, what this video also has to teach us.
For 60 years, Software 1.0, code written by programmers, ran on general-purpose CPUs. Then, Software 2.0 arrived, machine learning neural networks running on GPUs. This led to the big bang of generative AI, models that learn and generate anything. Today, generative AI is revolutionizing $100 trillion in industries. Knowledge enterprises use agentic AI to automate digital work.
Hello, I'm James at Digital Human.
Industrial enterprises use physical AI to automate physical work. Physical AI embodies robots like self-driving cars that safely navigate the real world, manipulators that perform complex industrial tasks, and humanoid robots who work collaboratively alongside us. Plants and factories will be embodied by physical AI, capable of monitoring and adjusting its operations or speaking to us. NVIDIA builds 3 computers to enable developers to create physical AI. The models are first trained on DGX. Then, the AI is fine-tuned and tested using reinforcement learning physics feedback in Omniverse. And the trained AI runs on NVIDIA Jetson AGX robotics computers. NVIDIA Omniverse is a physics-based operating system for physical AI simulation. Robots learn and fine-tune their skills in Isaac Lab, a robot gym built on Omniverse. This is just one robot. Future factories will orchestrate teams of robots and monitor entire operations through thousands of sensors. For factory digital twins, they use an Omniverse blueprint called Mega. With Mega, the factory digital twin is populated with virtual robots and their AI models, the robots' brains. The robots execute a task by perceiving their environment, reasoning, planning their next motion, and finally converting it to actions. These actions are simulated in the environment by the World Simulator in Omniverse, and the results are perceived by the robot brains through Omniverse sensor simulation. Based on the sensor simulations, the robot brains decide the next action, and the loop continues, while Mega precisely tracks the state and position of everything in the factory digital twin. This software-in-the-loop testing brings software-defined processes to physical spaces and embodiments, letting industrial enterprises simulate and validate changes in an Omniverse digital twin before deploying to the physical world, saving massive risk and cost. The era of physical AI is here, transforming the world's heavy industries and robotics.
So I'm super proud to say that in India also, when the manufacturing is kicking up at this pace, that we all hear about it, many of the industries are using Omniverse, Cosmos, Group O, which we have announced it during GTC, and the upgraded version is expected to be announced next week when the GTC Taipei is taking place, with models and data set to be made absolutely open sourced. Right? So those who are into the physical AI world, please feel free to use these models and try it out and give us some feedback as well. With that, let me pause. As I promised, I give back 6 minutes, but let's take 2 or 3 questions, and then the rest of the questions we will take it offline. And I'll hand over the battle to Manish. Any questions? Yes.
Hi. Yeah. So this omniverse which you just showed us. So is it possible, like this is trained for physical world communication, right? For the robots to get trained on. So is it possible to tweak it into the training, testing of the cars and all?
Large?
Cars.
Large cars.
Yeah. Testing of the cars.
So you have to understand, Omniverse is a universal platform to which all the tools gets connected. Okay. In the car building, you have CFD, you have simulations, you have HPC, then you have AI, and then a lot more other things, right? Design works and so on and so forth. All these players that we can think of it, ANSYS, Altair, Siemens, Dassault, 3D Max, all these guys have a plugin with Omniverse. Okay, so what it helps you is when you have different designers of these different skills, they could now collaborate under a single app. So to think it that way.
Okay, so it means like all the leverages which we have from those platforms, we already have it in this.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
And now, in the real time, think of it. One guy is making a car design change, the other guy is trying to do a simulation workflow of by putting, let's say, air simulation. The third guy is trying to open the door just to see how the wind direction is going. All the designers could now see things in live one place.
Okay, fine. So will it just give us the output of powertrain as well? Like how the energy will behave in such conditions and all?
Okay, you could write your custom plugins as well, right? We have open source that part of the story.
Okay.
You could plug in your own tools to it in terms of power, electronics, MEP and other things, and then integrate with the overall story that you're trying to
So
do.
that is possible with this.
Yes,
We'll have a try.
yes. You could go to YouTube, we have storylines with Mercedes, with Ford, with many others, that's live essentially with Omniverse. Sure. Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
thanks for me. I want to check if NVIDIA provides the LLM models that you made, right, in a cloud platform where developers can consume it, evaluate it.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question.
No, the LLM models that you mentioned, the pre-trained model that NVIDIA has built by itself, right, in-house, is it available on a cloud platform?
100%.
With,
We are there everywhere on every platform that you can think of it. Cloud, local cloud, hyperscalers, physical OEMs, on your laptops, on your desktops, as long as you have GPUs in any of these places.
okay, and do you have your own cloud platform directly to?
We do not have any other cloud platform of our own. We do give tools to build the cloud platforms based stuff that is not available in the market essentially.
Thank you.
This is Mahesh.
Hi, Naresh.
So when you are interacting with the multiple systems, when you exchanging communications with different systems, is there any open standards exchanging these communications or sharing data? Is there
When you
any
exchange the information between nodes,
roads or the systems?
systems,
Okay, so do you have any common standard of exchanging of formats, data exchange?
in context of what? AI, in context of Omniverse.
In the context of AI,
So I do get, data formats are typically in the storage. We integrate with every storage player in the market, whether it is cloud enabled or it is the physical storage vendors which are there, which also has enterprise data attached to it. And that's the persistent format that we understand it in the AI format as well.
what I need to say is, do we need any third-party tools to exchange the data in a standard format like OPC, PM, in the case of PS?
Not really. AI understands today text, video, image, everything essentially, right? And so is the case with all these tools essentially. Yes, data preparation, you need different tools. Data cleaning, you need different tools, and to manage data with securities and stuff like that, you need tools and stuff, which is what third party typically helps you with. Yeah. Probably we'll take this as the last question, just from time.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for those videos. Those videos were really amazing. I'm Samir, I'm working for Shell. I have one question. I was just going through an article recently where they were saying that for MI as well, they have some dark manufacturing stores in China, a few more cases which are already there, but there were some existing challenges which I feel, and even in that article they have mentioned that in case, since it's so complex, in case of any issues which occurs in that integrated systems, it takes days to resolve those issues. So what's your take on that? More and more complication comes in how well placed these models by NVIDIA will be to learn, relearn, and then execute those things?
So I understand your question in two ways, okay? Let me answer it in both the ways. First way that I understand is the system complexity itself, which is the truth. Okay, we are talking about racks which are now 130 kilowatt that the world has never built. In fact, next year, Urban, we have already announced it. We are talking about 800 kilowatt rack, right? And that must be the power that probably this Whitefield must be using it currently, if I'm not mistaken. I will still do my maths and come back, but pardon me if I'm wrong there. We are talking about unheard power numbers that these systems are going to consume. It's the same quantity you run, right? And we are trying to fit in billions of components into that one rack, trying to make this system work. Right? So the complexity level of managing these systems, monitoring these systems, and if one component fails, how to bring it back and build that resiliency in the ecosystem when the jobs are running or when the inferencing is taking place, both training and inferencing are taking as an example, is an art by itself. Right? And it takes a lot of time. The reason why NVIDIA builds its own supercomputers as well, because we want to learn by ourselves first what the world is going to suffer through and how do we rescue it and build those things. So to answer it, what cloud tools I was talking about is what we are trying to build, which the world has not built because the systems are coming from us. We are the first originator of that system, right? Now coming back to the answer of the second way I understand from the software stack perspective, right? When the scales are going on, a job is running on a 3000 GPU cluster or inferencing is taking place at a peak of let's say a million user querying on the tokens per second and so on and so forth with different lengths and size of input and output and so on and so forth, right? You definitely need tools that gives you more understanding of scaling in and scaling out, right? And that's the reason if you remember the second slide immediately after my video and that first slide of putting the title of then I had for the fourth or fifth slide where I've shown the first slides of what exactly the NVIDIA software stack looks like, which starts to understand from CPU, GPU and networking to the orchestration, to the scheduling, to the management and observability, and then the tools for your training and inferencing that you need. And each of those has its own layering as well in terms of training, curating data to guardrail, or in terms of inferencing, you're trying to user security to user serving. All these layers is what we are trying to help you build across. Right? And that's what the resiliency that we build it first in-house, and then we open it to you guys to consume it free. Make sense? Okay, sounds good. I'll pause there. Thank you so much. More questions probably at the outside. I think Manish is next, so I'll hand over that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jigar. I think you are definitely a man of your word. You kept it short, concise, took so many questions. Yes, and thank you so much for your patience with that. And I didn't expect indoor dynamics to also be part of that presentation. I must say that was an interesting Alright, thank you so very much for that. And we're now moving on. Oh, before I actually move into introducing the next session, I just have a small announcement. I can see a lot of you standing. We want you all to be as comfortable as possible. So if I could request you all, there's quite a few seats here. Whoever has an empty seat next to them, you could just raise your hand. Yes, so that you know where the empty seats are. Thank you so much. So you can all make your way. Everyone seems to be enjoying standing at the back, but if you'd like to be seated comfortably, there's enough space for all of you right here in front as well. Alright, so up next, we have a very interesting session where of course today is all about discussing the future of developer careers, and we have it from another perspective now, from the GCC perspective. We're going to explore how GCCs are transforming into epicenters of innovation, data science and AI-led growth, making them key players shaping the future of developer careers here in India. Our panelists who are going to be joining us, we're very, very excited to welcome them. Kaushik Das, Managing Director, JCPenney India. Hariharan Ganeshan, Vice President, Rolls-Royce Data Labs. Vineet Mehta, Executive Software Engineering and IT Telstra. And this session will be moderated by Smita Henigate, Head of Marketing and Employer Brand, ANSR, all going to be joining us for this panel discussion. A big round of applause as we welcome them all on stage. Over to you, Sridhar.
GPU क्या करता है पता है? इससे very different work है GPU में। यहाँ पे 10 versus आपकी processors and like अलग less। यहाँ पे 10 वो different हो रहा है। CPU छोड़ दिया CPU यहाँ पे सिंपल because they need it system
A warm welcome. I'm sure any session after lunch is never easy, but it's fantastic to see a packed stage. GCCs are now like a household name. Everybody's seeing it every day, and and I'm excited to have three stalwarts in that area to be on the panel with me. And a couple of things that we thought we'd talk about is to kind of go back and deconstruct what a GCC typically is. It's currently made to sound like a unicorn. It's made to sound like this animal that never existed, which is a combination of many things. A lot of people want to know what actually consists and what stays within a GCC. What we're looking to do today is actually deconstruct that myth for you, and also talk about what is it that we look for when we're moving from looking at discretionary or doing regular business as usual work to actually moving to value and value creation. What is it that organizations look for when it comes to talent, so that it's a lot more tailored to questions that you have as well as areas that you want us to cover. So with that said, we've done, you've got each of their names and you know who they are, and you can actually grab them after the session as well to talk to them. But Kaushik, I'd like to start with you. It's not because you're sitting right next to me, but more for how how we had already discussed. But many times GCCs are commonly seen as like offshoot or offsites. They are not something that is going back and delivering value. Where do and you've been part of a couple of these journeys, right? At least about 3 or 4. How have you seen that shift, and why do you think we are at this appropriate time for us to have made that shift?
Thanks, Pita, and good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here. Not the best of times after lunch, but we try. And as a group, we have resolved we'll try our best. That's a very, I would say, on-the question, because when we say GCC, and that's the term we use today, but we're going to go back maybe a couple of decades, started with, sorry to use the word, but captives, and then GIS, GVS, and all of that stuff. And many of us here and in the room have seen the transition. It did used to be more of a cost arbitrage, right? And then as it moved over the decades, especially post pandemic, last 5 years, the way the skill has got more democratized. I think now no longer it's resolved to be the low quadrant work that's happening in the home office is getting moved over to a GCC. It's about the value. It's about the way these GCCs have come across the curve and proving that it's beyond just doing the transactional work. It's beyond just doing the simple app dev and running your sprints. There is a significant amount of thought leadership, right? And what has helped is the tremendous amount of business context. I think I cannot lay enough stress on this each time I speak. Whatever is done out of a GCC, what is very key along with few of the components is the business context. And what has happened over the last 5 years is, be it on the technology side or on the business side, the way we are solving real business problems that has really helped to move up the value chain. So today's world, it's all about, hey, as an organization, as a global enterprise, it's no longer an office sitting out somewhere in a different geography. As a global enterprise, how are we solving this particular problem? Be it my operations, be it my customer support, be it my data analytics, but solving the problem and making it more sense to where it actually makes sense, which is the strategy. A GCC is not an independent entity, it's an extension of a bigger family, and as long as the outcomes of what we do within the organization is going and hitting the right strategic outcomes, that's where the value driving is, and that's a big shift that we've seen over the last few years.
So thanks. And Hari, I'd like to ask you, as an organization with Rolls-Royce, innovation is one of your key cornerstones, and we've also now kind of established with what Kaushik said that GCCs are not like your flavor, not like your 31 flavors in Baskin Robbins, right? It's going to be here to stay. What do how do you and your organization perceive this entire shift? Because you did go through that shift as well with Rolls-Royce. And what prompted that shift?
Thank you, Smita, and thanks to your story for having me here today. And Kaushik did cover quite a lot of things on the GCC shift, actually. Very specific to Rolls-Royce, if I were to take it. I think when we set up GCC in India, the blueprint called out for what are the missing capability currently in Rolls-Royce which are needed for stay relevant in the future, especially in the digital technology front. That's what we had targeted. So we made a blueprint in such a way that it was a complementing strength rather than a capacity enhancement or something like that, which basically shifted the game that we play. So the moment you have the capability, you need to justify what value you bring it to the table. So if you look at India, Rolls-Royce GCC is not being treated as an extended site, rather it's another site, what it is doing on the table actually, right? So these are the changes, right? So we are looking at it, which leads us to owning some of the products which are directly impacting strategic initiatives of Rolls-Royce, right? So we are owning products in India which is directly impacting the time on wheel, right? This is very, very critical that it defines the revenue come inside our organization actually, which is directly linked to ET KPI. So these are the things that GCC is shifting towards to making it more relevant because like Kaushik said, it's no more cost game actually, it's a value game. Right? If you are playing the value game, are you playing right? Is the right stakeholders are involved? Is right stakeholders are sponsoring you? And is the same right stakeholders are benefiting out of the GCC? Is the game that we're playing right now.
Thanks, Hari. We've now established, we've all moved over to across the chasm. We've all started talking about value. We're also talking about innovation because they go hand in hand. Tesla as an organization view innovation? Is it a key track? Is it main? Is it like a horizontal track that's running across innovation? How do you view it, and how do you put this whole strategy?
Great question, and good afternoon, everyone. Happy to see big numbers on a Saturday afternoon. Thank you for being here. Thank you to your story for having me here today. And for those of you who do not know Telstra, just to plug on Telstra, we are Australia's largest telecom provider, and we have a GCC that operates out of Bangalore and Pune and to some extent out of Hyderabad. There are around 2,500 people in the company in India. Great question on innovation. I'll probably take a step back, whether it's a GCC or a product company, or whether you're in India or you're in Australia or in the US, the first thing to realize is that innovation has become table stakes. Right? So the innovation is extremely important for any organization to stay ahead in today's DNA. So that's point one. It doesn't matter where you are, what you do. I think innovation is extremely critical in whether you can beat the competition, can you get ahead, can you improve your customer experience, can you grow your sales. Innovations become really, really critical on your future. Having said that, I think at Telstra what we've tried to do is make innovation part of our fabric rather than having it something that exists on the side. To be honest, it's an expectation that everybody innovates. Whether you're a product owner in our organization or you're an architect, you're giving autonomy and you're expected to innovate. And innovation, we also look at innovation not just from the fact that how we were automating a few years ago, but how we're leapfrogging, how we're improving our products, how we're giving the next customer experience. So it's also that the value you drive is expected to be much higher to the innovation that you do today.
Thank you. And I'd like to do a follow-on with you, Vinny. It's not a switch, right? You can't just say, I'm becoming value driver tomorrow. It means that there needs to be investments made on your target operating model. What does that mean for the organization? What does that mean for talent? Is the talent ready? Are we, having the right kind of career pathways? Is there learning and development? What does that mean for culture of the organization? How have you seen the target operating model evolve at your organization to kind of support this shift?
A great follow-up. I think a couple of thoughts come to my mind. One is, I think over the years, and I think Kaushik spoke about it, I think what's happened is we in India specifically, and have developed a very strong domain knowledge, right? I feel we always had the tech part of the angle, but to make, to make relevant, you need to be strong in tech and your domain. You need to understand your business. You need to understand your customer. So I think that's come a long way, and we approach innovation not just from a technology perspective, but holistically on what's it going to drive from a business, from a customer lens perspective, right? The second thing is, I think we don't try to just innovate on the side through incubators and just a few startups, which I think at some point was the modus operandi. But rather today, every team looks at, within their day-to-day, what can they do with the partners that we work, what can we do. So an example would be, I don't know if you follow Telstra, but we recently, announced a joint venture, 700 million joint venture with Accenture. And the crux of that is innovation. How do we leapfrog? How do we use our partners to innovate further? So we just don't try to do it on our own, but we also try to use the broader ecosystem around us. And then I think the last one, probably may seem very trivial, but innovation for just the sake of innovation or a tick box, we don't try to do that, right? So just because it's a hype or just because we think it's pretty cool, we don't try to do that. We are on point in terms of what exactly is the business problem that you're trying to solve, and then what's your innovative approach within that, rather than just a checkbox innovation exercise and a scorecard or a report around innovation, just for the namesake. We moved away from those sides.
So thanks, but a cornerstone to all of this is actually talent. And it also means that we have to start thinking about what does that mean from a behavioral aspect when you're looking at teams and you're building teams. So Hari, I'd like to understand from you, what are ways, interventions, expectations that we have when we make that entire switch between, delivering on point to actually doing value accretion and some of those areas back for the state side? What are you expecting from talent today? And I'm sure that's a question that greatly appeals to the audience who are here today as well.
I think in a single word, if you want to put it, it's a growth mindset, right? If you wanted to switch from where we are and where you want to be, you need to have the growth mindset. The fixed mindset will not allow you to migrate from where you are to where you want to go. When it comes to innovation, like Vineet was mentioning, right? You should be afraid about trying new things, and you should be afraid about failure. It's not only for the developers, it's for the leaders too, right? So do you have a blueprint which allows you to fail and learn fast and grow fast? Every failure is an opportunity. You see it in this way, and you have sponsors who are also kind of seeing it that way. That matters a lot. And the second thing is, continue the status quo, right? If you have 3 reds, you are worried and panicked, and you question them. When you have 3 greens, you have the same worry, right? Start questioning that why am I having continuously green? Am I not improving? Am I not doing better? So this is the second aspect of growth mindset in terms of benchmarking yourself, and are you in the upward trend and all those things. And the last thing is all about, which we spoke about, the failure is an option, right? Investing in the right place, right? So doing the right thing, aligned to the right purpose is very, very important, which we touched upon. So the growth mindset, along with all this angle, if you bring it together, there is a shift can happen much, much faster than what you can imagine. Yeah.
Kaushik, you've seen enterprises where some enterprises have got this extremely well, some enterprises haven't, and it's got an impact back on the team when they're looking at how do you go back and deliver value. What has been like the expectations from talent when we're looking at building teams that can drive success?
I think is given the mixed bag that I've been a part of. See again, I made a point about solving business problems. I think that's probably the same thing we're saying here. That be it through your technical acumen or through the competency or through your business knowledge, and all of this has to come together. A GCC is a wonderful place that within one entity, one unit, all of this can come together and solve real problems. And I think that really drives the value of what we can drive for the enterprise, right? The KPIs no longer are centered with what the team is doing in terms of savings, but then how we are changing the way we do business globally. For talent, I think in today's world, the talent has got much smarter, more multidimensional. I think as long as we are bringing in the curiosity of learning, yes, we come out from the gates of our schools or institutions, learning a few skills and a few craft, and I'm sure many of us sitting here are curious to know, okay, what's next and how do we go about that? I think one part of it is, yes, you have come with a bag full of skills, but then unless you are putting that into the right use of the context and making these three mixed together, your skill, your knowledge, and the way you're solving business problems, it's not going to yield results. So I think, where it all goes forward from here is the way you assimilate what kind of domain you are in, how can the craft be used to solve a real problem which is on the ground. Yes, conceptually, I have personally been, sometimes in my past passionate about, what I know this equation can solve this problem, but then the way we articulate and go and tell the business. I think the part of storytelling is a lot more intense today because it's all about how the business is interpreting your technical results and making it into use. And the way we are designing the GCC org and its ways of operating with the home office is kind of making all of these information flow smoother. The smoother we are able to deliver the results in the right time, in the right way, it's no longer about who's having what title, what role, geographies. It's about making a collaborative working units. And that's where all your information exchanges, all your KPIs come into existence. So for a talent who's coming in new to such an ecosystem, it's all about understanding the dynamics of it and how it works. Yes, if I've heard stories of how it used to work 5 years ago, doesn't work that well today. We just got to understand, okay, this is what means for the business. I know this, but I might not have to bring all of it together. And how can I just change a small part of the business pain point so that the results are this? It's all about the results, all about the value that we are driving, and it's all about how constantly we are also gaining knowledge in that. And as long as these three are taken care of, the talent is able to move both, horizontally and vertically, enriching in knowledge and context.
So we did speak about the target operating model a while back. Well-run GCCs have very similar career pathing, which means if you've got a director here, the span of control for the director in India is very similar for a span of control for the director back on the state side. So how do you see, the perception of careers, which means banding, what does that mean for opportunities? How do you see that shift when we make that entire shift to banding?
Again, a great question. I think so. The roles have significantly changed in the last couple of years, specifically operating out of India. And I think again, if you take a step back, the reason for that is that no more. In fact, for example, for us at Telstra, we never use the word offshore. We actually call our office in Bangalore as the headquarters of the West. Again, because Australia being on further down in the east. So we say we are the headquarters of the West. But what I'm trying to convey here is that I think the expectation has completely changed from what the motherships or companies expect out of their teams wherever they are sitting, including in India, right? And you're at par, you're expected to drive. We discussed in terms of value, in terms of innovation, in terms of growth. You are expected to drive at par with any team sitting anywhere in the world, just like us. As a result of that, and to enable that, now we have global roles sitting in India, and they lead P&L, they lead complete products, whether it's the growth strategy on those products, how we improve customer experience, what's the innovation, what technology we use, including like we could come up with new products. So I think we've got our roles in India, which take my own role as well. I've got teams in Australia and this has part of here, and I've got the opportunity to run a portfolio of technology end-to-end from India. So that's where the career pathing has completely changed, and it's not just the technology career path that we offer, but technology will always be a strong set. I've said this before, so we continue to offer strong technology career paths in architecture, in technology, in testing, AI. But now we also have other historically roles that we didn't see in India, whether you want to be a product owner or you want to be a change manager, right? Or you want to be an exec that drives end-to-end as end-to-end accountability. So those roles have now shifted to organizations in India as well.
Thanks, Vinit.
If I can just quickly add 30 seconds is, one of the things that I personally have seen over the last 3-4 years in the spectrum is evolution of individual career journeys, career pathing, right? Especially in the technical space where earlier it used to all converge to a people leadership role at a much earlier, but now someone who's very passionate about leading with technology can go pretty much very high up in the decision making.
Because, to your point, I think that if I'm one of you in the crowd, I think that's the mind shift change that you have to understand. That it's not just understand from a skill set perspective, it's not just the technology skill set, but you have to understand the customer, you have to understand the business, the domain, and you have to bring that together if you want to play these roles, because that's the expectation. You're expected to be in boardrooms, you're expected to be talking to vendors, you're expected to be talking to customers. So you're no more the tech guy kind of sitting behind and just coding, but you're actually driving the strategy, and that makes a different skill set to what we discussed earlier.
So while we're talking about skill set, we also mean, organizations evolve. We also hire talent who really perform well. But it also means that you need to constantly upskill. And I do know that GCCs have this laser focus and they have a lot of, focus as well as investments that they make with upskilling and learning and development. Can you talk to us about, what are key guidelines, things that, your organization and other GCCs that you've learned from do extensively?
Sure, Smita. I think it is one of the big challenge for most of the organizations today, right? So rapidly evolving technology opportunities, making the skills pretty relevant pretty sooner actually. So one thing that we are practicing is we call something called skill osmosis or capability osmosis, right? Why would a data engineer need to be a data engineer alone? Why they cannot be a data scientist or a full stack developer, or any person is having always ambition to scale or flex themselves in a different angle. So that attitude needs to be leveraged and allow them to learn something new, which is future focused actually. That is something that we are actively investing. And we are typically running programs like YT Square, Your Time Square in Rolls-Royce, where it enables developers and all the other people to work on testing themselves in a different skill area, which is future focused actually. The other thing what I would stress on is you need to understand your technology roadmap and work with your CEO, get your technology roadmap and make sure which technology path that you're going to take and invest the skill development in that area is the second option I would put in.
So in the interest of time, since we've got the timer ticking down, I'd love this question, which is on KPIs, but unfortunately we're not able to cover that in today's panel. But in rapid fire, like Coffee with Karan that all of us watch, or many of us watched over many seasons, I'd like to ask the three of you all to kind of give your anecdotal story message back to the audience today. If there is one innovation mindset that helped you succeed, what would that be? And Hari, we'll start with you.
Ability to flex in your adjacency area is my success, I would believe, because trained mechanical engineer leading data and AI today, nothing I know about coding when this company I trained. Now I'm leading such a big team of data and AI. It only came through flexing yourself in your adjacency.
Kaushik?
I think knowing your customer and results, because all said and done, unless we are driving the results in the right direction, the road ahead does not get created. So for me, one would be, yes, innovation, great, and we can do all of that, but as long as it's not substantiating into something that matters today or for tomorrow, it doesn't have to be kind of today's. Results for today, results for tomorrow takes you forward.
I love the question, that I'll give you two, something that I've probably learned the hard way. One is, I think, be fearless with innovation. You have nothing to lose, honestly. So just be fearless. The second one is, whenever you innovate, be in the shoes of the audience or the person you're trying to sell. What's in it for me, right? Just follow those two mantras. Your success ratio at innovation will be higher. Or at least that's what I kind of learned over the time.
So we need one more. One quality I believe today's developers need to thrive in the GCC.
It's a hard one. It's not one quality, but I think basically your ability to learn and adapt is at the highest at this point in time, given how the world is being disrupted. So I think I would say learn and adapt quickly.
Ashik?
Adding to that, know your customers, internal, external. Just know them better, their pain points, their need, because if those CX and EX, the internal experience and the customer experience, if those are not moving forward, nothing else matters.
Curiosity is I would say, right? So, I mean, when I was in like the developers who were sitting in this room, one white man told me that if you can get an answer for 4W and 1 hat, you are growing, which is why, what, when, where, and how. If as a developer, if you can answer all the 5 questions on what you're doing today on your desk, that means you're growing. So be curious to get answers for this 5.
So to quickly wrap up, I always like to do this at the end of the session in case you were catching a snooze and you didn't hear anything that the team said. One, I think GCCs are here to stay. It's a great place that you can go, build your career, get great opportunities, and I think you should look at, considerably looking at this space to look at your next opportunity. The second is they do some amazing work. It could be building the next AI strategy, it could be building the next product for the world. In fact, several large enterprises across the world are actually driven by engineers like you all who are sitting in the audience today. So amazing work, and you can get to do some meaningful work of your career there. The third is, I think, it will give you a different plane to actually go back and think and pivot about how can you innovate, how can you think differently, how can you co-create, also give you access to customer perspectives as well as business. And the last is, it's going to be purpose-driven, and it's also going to give you opportunities to upskill constantly. So with all said, I think it's a great place to be here with the GCC industry. I'm not saying it because I'm biased, but it's from the growth that I've seen being on the sidelines. But we've got great panelists today who gave their insights. Thank you so much for your time as well as being here. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that, and Smita, you did a wonderful job moderating that session. I love the GCC KWK, I should say, the GCC Coffee with Karan style. So the rapid fire was great, and thank you for putting us all in that innovative mindset also. So that was very, very helpful to all of us. It's always nice to get a summary of what the important points were. And I think I saw a lot of the developers in the audience actually nodding along when they heard you saying what are the qualities which are really needed for the future. Very, very important for everyone in this room today. And earlier in the day, we spoke to a lot of you actually about how AI is in fact augmenting your life, a lot of your and your careers as well. A lot of you had very, very interesting points. And now I'm going to take this forward actually to another level, augmenting India with AI. What's cooking at Google DeepMind? We have with us a very, very interesting speaker indeed, leading AI research teams across India. Google DeepMind's Manish Gupta is making AI accessible and actionable for real-world applications at scale in India. Please join me in welcoming Manish Gupta, Senior Director, Google DeepMind. A big, big round of applause.
Good afternoon. Okay, so I'll be talking about some of the work that we are doing at Google DeepMind. So our mission is to build AI responsibly to benefit humanity. And in particular, our team in India takes the humanity part very seriously, given the amount of humanity that resides in our country. Maybe some delays. So one very interesting example of how to apply AI to benefit humanity comes from this potential to accelerate scientific discovery. And that's amongst all of this, again, completely justified focus, right, on how to use AI to improve health, learning, transportation, all kinds of real world problems, right, that we face. I feel this area hasn't received as much attention in India. And last year's Nobel Prize in chemistry should be kind of a good signal, right, of what's likely to come. So proteins, as we all know, right, from our high school biology, are the basic building blocks of life, comprising of, they are made out of these chains of amino acids, which fold into a particular shape that gives the protein its distinctive properties. So if you go back, let's say, a decade ago, it used to take about an entire PhD, close to 5 years of research, to uncover the structure of a single protein. And today, with the help of this model, AlphaFold, right, for which Dennis and John Jumper won the Nobel Prize, this can be done in a few seconds. So about 5 years of research, which can now be done in a few seconds. So, in fact, this team made the predicted structures of all 200 million proteins known to humankind freely available. And today, AlphaFold is being used by a lot of researchers, over 2 million researchers worldwide, for applications ranging from drug discovery to even like designing enzymes to help make plastics more degradable. But coming to the more mainstream kind of world of generative AI, what we have seen is this move from specialized models, right? That earlier, if we go back 5-10 years ago, we used to build specialized models, often deep learning based, to solve a given problem. And what we have seen is this shift from specialized to these foundation models, which are pre-trained on large volumes of data and extremely powerful. So at Google, we have been building this model called Gemini. And to show you some examples of some of the capabilities of Gemini. So while the term LLM has caught on, large language model, today these models are going well beyond just language, beyond just text. Today they can handle multimodal inputs. Again, I don't know why it's not here. So to illustrate, some of this multimodal capability, and also this long context window that Gemini has been offering, over 2 million tokens, which means what you can do is you can use data with that many tokens as part of your input, where this data isn't part of something that the model has been trained on, but can be used as part of the input. So now if we feed, let's say something like a 45-minute video, you could feed it up to 2 hours of video. As part of the input to this Gemini prompt, let's take a look at what this model is able to do.
We gave it this drawing of a scene you're thinking of and asked, what is the time code when this happens? This is an example of a multimodal prompt where we combine text and image in our input. The model returned this time code, 1534. We pulled that up and found that it was the correct scene. Like all generative models, responses vary and won't always be perfect. But notice how we didn't have to explain what was happening in the drawing. Simple drawings like this are a good way to test if the model can find something based on just a few abstract details, like it did here. These are just a couple examples of what's possible with a context window of up to 1
Take action. Gemini 2.0 is what enables Take Action. Gemini 2.0 is what enables Project Astra, our research prototype of a universal AI assistant. Using capabilities like multimodal memory and real-time information, it lets you understand your world live.
What can you tell me about the sculpture?
The sculpture you're seeing is called My World and Your World by Eva Rothschild, located in Louis Stewart Park in London.
What kind of themes are you working for?
She creates abstract sculptures that invite viewers to interact with and interpret their surroundings in new ways.
Project Astra is multilingual, using native audio to seamlessly switch languages as you speak.
Est-ce que tu peux me dire quelque chose d'intéressant pour que ces lanternes?
Bien sûr, je peux vous parler des lanternes. Les lanternes que vous voyez font partie de la porte d'entrée de Chinatown à Londres. நிச்சயமாக இது லண்டனில் உள்ள Chinatown நுழைவாயில்.
We're taking this to the next step with Project Mariner. with agents that can complete tasks on your behalf. You can ask it to do things like this that require multiple steps, doing research to look at the artist, then finding the painting, and then shopping for the right supplies. The agent uses the web to take action and find what you're looking for. It plans and reasons at each step, always staying in your control and completing your task. Gemini 2.0 enables agents that can be applied across domains. We're exploring agents that can explore virtual worlds, assisting you in video games.
Where do you recommend I attack from in this space?
Given the base layout, I recommend attacking from the bottom or south side. This direction allows you to target the town hall directly with your giants, while the wizards can handle the surrounding defenses.
Gemini reason about the physical world, understanding 3D spatial environments and objects. These capabilities are being applied to robotics, with agents that can assist you in your everyday physical environment. Learn more.
And finally, or most recently, about a month ago, Google announced again, launched Gemini 2.5. And again, I won't take you through all of the capabilities, but this is what some of the external people are saying about Gemini 2.5.
So Google just took over the AI industry. They just released Gemini 2.5, which is currently the most intelligent AI model, not by a little bit, but by far. Gemini 2.5 is a thinking model designed to tackle increasingly complex problems. And this model, Gemini 2.5 Experimental, leads all benchmarks by a meaningful margin and showcases strong reasoning and incredible code capability.
So whether you're coding, asking it for a coding problem, whether you're asking it to solve a hard, whatever math or physics problem and so on, right now 2.5 is showing on a whole bunch of leaderboards, various industry standard benchmarks, the best performance in the industry, bar none. So the other area that we have, again, excitement about is bringing creative side of humans. And again, these tools have been used to help us write emails, poems, create beautiful images, beautiful videos. And what we have seen is, again, models like Imagine, which are again viewed as the highest quality text-to-image generation. For a while, Google had fallen kind of behind after inventing some of these technologies. But Imagine 3 has been viewed again by the industry as the best text-to-image generation model. And then Veo, starting with Veo 2, viewed as again an amazing text-to-video generation models. And again, I've been watching some of the videos that have been created by my colleagues for some of our customers in India, creating ads for their products, and blown away by the quality, because it looks like these videos are created by agencies, by all these ads agencies, but these are all AI-generated videos. Turning it back to India, how do we make these technologies more inclusive? How do we make them work for everyone, not just the privileged few? So that's been a key focus area for my team. We presented this paper at a major conference last year, which documented there's a huge gap on the capabilities of all these LLMs, including our own models, Gemini, on English versus this bundle of 29 Indian languages for which we created this benchmark. And what our team has been doing is building this model called Morni, which understands not just 22 scheduled languages. That was the challenge that I had given to our lead Partha Talukdar, and he came back and said that I want to target each of the 100 plus languages which is spoken by at least 1 lakh people in India. Of course, that was easier said than done, because he also told me that 72 out of these 125 languages were at that time zero corpus languages. That means there was zero known digital data on those languages. We also know the